Hi everyone, welcome back to Bayonetta on Nonstop Infinite Climax. This bonus video, is dedicated to showing all of the Alfheim locations and me completing them on Nonstop Infinite Climax. I don't platinum them all, unfortunately, but I give a good strategy for most of them. Anyway, this first Alfheim, you can only get to it if you activate the elevator near in the first chapter. As far as the Alfheim itself, it's fairly easy. I'm using Pillow Talk, by the way. It's a weapon you only unlock once you beat Nonstop Infinite Climax. I don't actually recommend it for doing the Alfheims unless you're actually focusing on only defeating the enemies. Because part of the reason why I don't platinum all the Alfheims is because this weapon kills the enemies way too quickly. Therefore, messing up your chance to finish to get a good combo out of them. Too bad too. I also have a full magic bar. That's important if you want to follow the strategies I do here. And I've also got all the accessories, including the Bracelet of Time. You'll definitely need a Bracelet of Time for the Non-Stop Infinite Climax Alfheims. Anyway, for this first one, you have to activate Witch Time to damage the enemies, as I've shown so far. At this part, you want to get rid of our good old buddy Glorious, I believe, right here first, because you cannot activate Witch Time by dodging his attacks, but you can by dodging the attacks of the affinities that have spawned around it. If you somehow, for some reason, defeat all the affinities before getting rid of Glorious, you can still activate Witch Time by using the Bracelet of Time, of course, but that will require you to build up your magic meter before you can make that happen. And right now, I'm scrambling to try to activate Witch Time by dodging one of the Affinities attacks. Finally managed to do it right here. And I do believe, I'm not positive if this is the end of this Alfheim already. I don't think it is. There's one more part after it. And I equipped the Bracelet of Time right here because it's useful in case I need to deal with just one more hit towards the enemy. Although right here I just wasted it. I was trying to charge up Pillow Talk because when it is charged it deals tremendous amounts of damage. But sadly, I messed up the timing. Incidentally, when you have the Bracelet of Time on, you do not activate Witch Time by dodging. Just pointing that out. Oh, now we've got ardors and a joy. You want to get rid of the joy first. You can activate Witch Time by dodging some of her attacks, but not all of them. So, and not to mention they also come out very, very quickly. So you'll want to dodge one of the ardors' fairly predictable attacks to activate Witch Time and get rid of her quickly. Preferably with a torture attack. The ardors themselves, well, there should be no problem at all. They are tricky enemies in large groups, but 2 should not be that difficult at this point in your experience with Bayonetta. Because you have to beat normal and hard mode to get this far. You should know their fighting patterns by now. No, yeah, using torture attacks to finish them off. And that's our first Alfheim. Fairly simple, not too difficult. I'm not sure if I got just enough to get the platinum on combo on Alfheim 1, but just in case, try to get good combos. Also, I love the way I defeat the enemies right here. I can't remember their names. Anyway, it's verse 4 on chapter 2. When you've defeated those enemies, you just go all the way back over here for our first Alfheim of this chapter. Limited kicks and punches. In Non-Stop Infinite Climax, you generally have more than enough to always defeat the enemies in time. But this is the first one and you only get 20 punches and 18 kicks. So I particularly recommend equipping a strong weapon to deal with the beloveds right here. I was able to get rid of one very, very quickly, but you still want to build up some score before you get rid of the other one. Actually, maybe not. You don't need that big of a score. Also, in limited kick and punches Alfheims like this, if you perfect parry an attack, that doesn't count as you using either a kick or a punch. And you can also jump off an enemy with your leg guns or weapon to damage them without also using a kick or a punch. Just something nifty. Anyway, Alfheim number 2 of this chapter is right over here. Defeat all the enemies. Generally, when you get this type of Alfheim, it means the enemies thrown at you will be fairly annoying to fight. Particularly in the last Alfheim of this type. I'm right here. I'm charging up Pillow Talk a lot because it is very powerful, but it is not very effective against flying enemies. Even though it has like basically infinity range when it's fully charged with its attack. The infinity range only applies for what's in front of it, horizontally, not vertically. Anyway, after fooling around way too much, trying to get rid of this decoration or deer, whatever it is. Here, you want to be careful. It's very easy to get hit. The most effective thing to do here is to use rockets on the ground. If that makes sense. It hits these enemies fairly easily because they like to circle around you. But since they're on the ground, it hits them fairly easily and they don't have much health. I'm getting rid of all the enemies much faster than I should right now. It's effective if you don't want to get hit, but you don't get a very good score for dealing against the enemies this way. And because of that, I only get a gold on score in this Alfheim. Not a good thing. Even though I'm getting like a huge score multiplier right now, it doesn't matter. I'm defeating the enemies way too quickly. And as some of you may have noticed, I'm skipping a lot of the longer torture attacks because I wanted this video to be fairly short for destroying all 21 Alfheims. And I think I succeeded. It still managed to be over 40 minutes, but I cut out a lot of filler doing this. Anyway, 2 more Beloveds, again. Don't know why Platinum decided to repeat them on the very next Alfheim. I used the Brizz of Time to stop time for just a fraction of a second here, just because I wanted to get rid of at least one Beloved before taking on the other one up close. Because I believe I failed this Alfheim very, very often, and I was very annoyed at just doing it at this point. Anyway, one Beloved should be more than easy enough to deal with. Their attacks are way too slow and predictable. The only attack to be careful of is their kick attack. That one comes out fairly fast. Well, actually they have 2. They both come out fairly fast. If you're near their legs when that happens, it's basically that you're almost guaranteed to get hit. Anyway, again on chapter 2, after verse 9, you'll need to go all the way back to as far as you can to find Alfheim number 3 of this chapter. It's not easy. Not at all. I do say that most of the difficult Alfheims are in the beginning, with the exception of the last 2 that are also difficult. But the first few, except for like number 1, are really tedious. Particularly this one. Use torture attacks. You have to use 8. I take the very cheap way out, which is why I only get a gold when I finish this Alfheim, because I don't want to miss out on not having enough torture attacks to do by the end of all the enemies I get from this Alfheim. So I use as many torture attacks as I can on the first few enemies. In fact, all of the beginning enemies. As I build up my meter, I use my torture attacks on the applauds first, the bigger enemies, because they're more of a liability and they're likelier to hit me, even though they spend most of the time ordering their affinities around. Still, I don't want them to be the last enemies remaining. The affinities are considerably easier to deal with than the applauds. Anyway, as there's only one left right here, I decide to farm him or milk him for all it's worth and maximize my magic meter. It wastes a lot of time, but I still get a platinum on time no matter what, so it's okay. With my magic meter, I get rid of these 2 right away because they hit me more times than I wish they did. But by getting rid of them, I can finally focus on just defeating the enemies. Fortunately, no need to use any more torture attacks at this point. I don't know why I didn't pick up the applauds weapons just right away. I suppose I don't need them right now, but unfortunately I messed up their usage in the next phase of this halftime. Right here. I really should have had the weapon picked up by now, but unfortunately I just let it be. And because of that, I didn't... Like, the problem is that those weapons are really, really good for scoring. Like right here. It takes a while to get them started, but look at that scoring. The score multiplier. Humongous. But then I started messing up right here. The enemies started getting too close, so I couldn't focus on just attacking, which eventually forced me, well, basically completely ruined my combo meter. Or rather, combo multiplier. Also doesn't help that I was focusing too much on just picking up the weapon, even though it was way too late for me to enjoy the benefits of it by now. It's still very good. I finished with a torture attack in the hopes that it'll be enough to remedy the amount of score I have. It is not. I only got a silver. That means I only get a gold. So, lesson learned. Gotta keep that combo multiplier up. Okay, chapter 3. To get the first Alfheim to appear, tip over this trash can. It's over there. It's kind of tricky of Platinum to do it that way, but it is what it is. I mean, it's not that hard to find, I would say. You just need to explore a bit at the very beginning. Stay in the air is by far the easiest type of Alfheim. I did this one on my very first try, I think. Because you can do this, but with a sword and pillow talk. You can just stay in the air doing this attack for roughly 5 seconds. Cancel it with crow form. Cancel crow form by shooting. And then cancel shooting by attacking and using that attack again. Just do that repeatedly and you can stay in the air more than long enough to pass time for 30 seconds. In normal mode, I believe it's actually 60 seconds that you have to stay in the air, which is a lot tougher. But there's lots more enemies that you can jump from, which is probably why it's considered easier in that level of difficulty, even though I wouldn't say it is. Okay, after dealing with the first fairness, you want to go, instead of heading towards the Witch and... what's their name? The Umbran and Lumen Sage statues. You go over here for Alfheim. The last Alfheim I actually found. This is the last Alfheim I've just found because I never bothered searching over here. It is one of my favorites though, because it's use angel arms, and that means you get an infinity supply of bow weapons right over here. As long as you're in place and you have the attacks charged up and ready, you can basically use it to decimate the opposition. And it always reappears as you completely use it up, so it's basically an infinity amount of them. Look at all those enemies. I can still get rid of them very easily. It's too bad you can't actually damage these enemies by reflecting their attacks back to them. That would make sense. After all, it's their attack. Anyway, as some of you may have noticed, I did have the Breath of Time on for a second. I use that in case I need, like, the enemies are getting close and I'm just about to attack them with the bow. Like for here. I really want my attack to be ready by now. The Beloved is, once again, very, very easy to deal with, just like all of the rest of the enemies. Just be careful not to get hit by his leg attack. His kick attack. His foot attack. Oh, incidentally, it takes 2... Whoa, that was too close. It takes 2 angel arms to defeat him. At the very least, it did for me. Okay, as you enter Paradiso, you want to head all the way over here for one of the easiest Alfheims to find. For most people, this will be the first Alfheim they ever find because it's out in the open, in an area where you're very likely to explore around. The Alfheim itself is a simple defeat all the enemies, and for Nonstop Infinite Climax, they throw Braves at you. Braves have very little health, but... Well, actually, no, that's a good thing, because you want to get rid of them as quickly as you can, because roughly around after either 5 seconds or you get its health down to half, more enemies will spawn, and the other enemies, they They're all annoying. All of them. I picked up the Brave's weapon. It's not that useful. So I just resort to a torture attack to defeat this Grace right there. And I try to use the rest of the weapon to defeat this guy, and I didn't manage to do that. Now I pick up Grace's weapon right here. It is very effective at defeating any type of enemies, especially those that are in a small, tight group. Very, very useful. Probably the best weapon, in fact. Of course, you can't say the same about the actual weapon you get to use for yourself. It doesn't have the same attack that you're able to use against the enemies. Anyway, the ardors are fairly annoying, so try to take care of them fairly quickly. I take my time with this one, though, because it keeps parrying everything to have. I eventually resort to just firing my rockets at it. Takes a while, though. Oh, and I have the Gaze of Despair on, in case some of you haven't noticed. I really wanted to guarantee that I get a good score fighting these enemies, because you get more points when you fight enemies that are enraged, and that's what the Gaze of Despair does. It enrages all the enemies for you. I switched to the Bracelet of Time right here because I wanted to get rid of the enemies really quickly, but I actually screw up. I completely messed up the attacks I was supposed to use. I guess I just didn't want to deal with the enemies right there. Right there I got hit, but it didn't damage me because I activated Witch Time the second I got hit. It's a weird way of making sure you don't get damaged, but it does work. And that's what's important, I suppose. It does feel a bit like I cheated for this Alfheim, though. Because if there's one thing I stay consistent for the entire, like, all the Alfheims I have done here, is that I never got hit. But in this case, I kind of technically did. Anyway, Fearless right here. I completely failed at using dodge offset here. But eventually I managed to charge up Pillow Talk, and the Fearless has a problem of blocking that thing's attacks. Like all the enemies. Which is what I was going for. But I could have actually used that move a lot earlier had I just used dodge offset instead of parrying the moves that it was attacking me with. Anyway, Burning Ground Chapter 3 has 4 Alfheims, the most out of any chapters. After you've used the Hourglass to repair the bridge, go all the way back over here for Alfheim number 4. This might be the first very annoying one for some people. It is use wicked weaves. And I equipped Eternal Testimony here because I want to have at least 2 spheres of magic at all times. Or almost at all times. Because when that happens, you only need to dodge or parry one attack once to be able to have enough to do a Wicked Weaves without having to start a combo. Because one of the more annoying, what makes this type of Alfheim so annoying is that to actually use a Wicked Weave, you have to use an attack at the end of a combo. And the earliest attacks is like attack number 3 of the shortest combos. In this case, it's punch, pause, kick for the fastest one, I believe. And for a more powerful one, punch, kick, and then punch again. For a more powerful, yeah, Wicked Weave, like right there. It's not always accurate, though, for some reason. Not sure how that works. Anyway, after getting rid of all of the enemies here and dodging repeatedly, you have to deal with 2 Fearlesses, no, 1 Fearless and 2 Fairnesses. This is so annoying. It is, these enemies are fairly slow and take their time attacking you, but their moves are devastating and hard to dodge at times. Particularly the bite attack. If you don't dodge correctly or in time, it's gonna hit you, no matter what. Like, what's to note is that you can't bat form the bite attack. If it hits you, it hits you. Can't get out of it. You can't perfect parry it, though. Or, at the very least, parry it. I'm not sure if you can perfect parry it, because you can't bat form it, so why would you be able to perfect parry it? Anyway, as some of you may have noticed, what the strategy I'm using here is basically dodge to build up meter, and then use a Wicked Weave. Just rinse and repeat. It's the safest way of dealing with this Alfheim. Did I actually bat form back there? Huh. Well, I guess I was wrong then. You can bat form the bite attack. It's stupidly hard, though. Occasionally these enemies will get stunned, which makes this part so much easier. Like right there, the Fairness got stunned. So that leaves it open for me to attack it repeatedly, allowing me to easily finish the halftime. It's too bad I didn't do that more often when there were all 3 of them. You don't have to get that good of a combo for the platinum. Okay, moving on to a new chapter, chapter 5. After dealing with the graces and glories in verse 2, you just have to go back to where you started for the first halftime. And I took way too much damage there. Got a stone award for good reason. Although incidentally, I do believe you have 10,000 health in like 10,000 worth points in terms of health when you have 2 full magic bars, health bars. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Just a neat tidbit. Anyway, use witch time. That means do not equip accessories that would prevent you from using witch time, and that includes the bracelet of time. I actually equipped the Gaze of Despair because I just want extra points. I just got so concerned when I completely messed up getting a platinum on that halftime in chapter 2. It really annoyed me. Of course, the Gaze of Despair doesn't guarantee you'll get a good score, but it does help. The important part is keeping up your combo multiplier. Anyway, Fearless and 2 Fairnesses, once again. I build up my meter right here because it helps in case I want to activate Witch Time with my bracelet. Not to mention, when you dodge either Fairness or Fearless's attacks, there are occasions where the Witch Time doesn't last nearly as long as you would expect it to. And I'm using torture attacks here to deal big damage against them. Although I should probably be saving up my meter right now. Sorry if it's a little disorienting how I use the transitions to skip lots of segments. But I really want to save time. Here I can't do anything because they're both stunned, so I can't activate Witch Time. I mean, I could have used the Bracelet of Time, but I need my magic high up right now, because gotta fight 3 Joys right here. They don't have much health, but it's a little difficult to activate Witch Time from their attacks, because they're much faster. And I actually completely messed up my combo right here, but that's okay. Just have to deal a bit of damage against him, then Torture Attack. Always be careful as you get out of your Torture Attack, though, because the enemy can, and they will, in fact, just attack as you get out of it. Here, activate the Bracelet of Time, because you can do this. You can only activate a Torture Attack in Witch Time, because the rule is that you have to use Witch Time. Here, I had 1 bar of magic, and plus 1 sphere, so I used the Bracelet of Time to activate Witch Time, and then immediately activated my Torture Attack. That's how I finished that last halftime. Kind of neat. Anyway, halftime number 2 for this chapter. After you defeat the harmonies up this tower, look back down all the way to the bottom and see if the halftime is there. If it's not there, you need to climb up a bit more. Stay in the air for a set period of time. I do believe in hard mode, you have to do this one against the Fearless, and it is probably the hardest type of stay in the air challenge, because the Fearless actually can reach you when you stay in the air. Like, not when you're at the peak of your jump, but as you just start descending slowly, it will reach you. That's the one, the stay in the air halftime, where you basically have to re-jump on the enemy to stay in the air continuously. I would suppose that activating Witch Time while you're in the air would be the solution to making that one easy. Fortunately, I'm not covering that one, so alas. This is the first halftime I ever found, because I always go in the opposite direction of where the game wants to send me. Even though I didn't manage to find the one halftime where I would explore in Paradiso. Limited kicks and punches. You have plenty to spare. However, I think this halftime is only against graces and glories. 2 at first, and then 3 at once. Here I'm showing that you can basically parry and jump on the enemies for free damage, and you can also, if you're high enough in the air, if you descend without doing anything, you'll actually deal damage, and that also counts as not actually using a kick or a punch, surprisingly enough. That being said, you have plenty to spare to actually defeat the enemies. Like, I'm wasting punches right here, it doesn't matter. Oh, you can also use the weapons of your foes for free damage. This completely decimated the two glories right there, leaving me with only the... Well, actually, no, this is the glory. The others were the graciouses, right? No, the graces. Okay, grace and glory. I keep messing up their names because they're all repetitive. This is the grace. The others were the glories. So, grace, fire, glory, lightning. If it's only one of them, it should be fairly easy enough to deal against it. They have fast attacks and long range, but it shouldn't be that difficult. Okay, new chapter, chapter 6. There's only one Alfheim in this one. After dealing with these enemies in this part of the chapter, you have to go all the way back to here. The challenge this time is to use torture attacks. Yay! Fortunately, this one is fun because you only have to use one. It is a fight against the gracious and glorious, though, so you want to be careful, particularly of actually using the torture attack to defeat the enemy. That's actually something I forgot to mention, I think. In this type of challenge, the torture attack has to defeat the enemy to count. So you cannot use a torture attack to just deal a bit of damage against the enemy, because you have to use it to defeat it for it to count. I mean, you can use a torture attack to deal some damage against an enemy, but you don't want to do that. They'll just make it take longer for you to finish the Alfheim. Anyway, right here, I used my torture attack a bit too early, literally. Like, it only has like 1 HP left. So because of that, I start building meter, dodging its attacks. I somehow managed to do it, even though this is one of the toughest enemies to continuously dodge attacks from. Anyway, yeah. That's shown right here. This is the only torture attack that actually counted. Be careful. Okay, a new chapter. Chapter 9, I believe. I didn't have to actually do verse 1 to actually have the Alfheim appear, but I did it anyway. It's right over here. You have to break down this gate. This stone wall. Out of body battle. For these, you'll always want to have the Gaze of Despair equipped, especially on this level of difficulty. On normal mode, you might get away with it. We're not equipping the Gaze of Despair, but in harder difficulties, the enemies are very, very likely to get distracted by your body that you left behind and attacking it, and that counts as damage to your character. So you want to be careful. It feels kind of unfair that the enemies can attack your body, but you cannot attack them while you're still in your body. Anyway, once you've gotten the hang of dodging your enemies and dealing with all their attacks and taking that guy's bow right there, this isn't that difficult. This is overkill what I'm doing here. I should have really just jumped on the enemy. I really do like the bow. It's just really... It deals such humongous amounts of damage that I think it's kind of a bug that it's so powerful. Because compare that with the Ardors sword. That's a weapon that is not nearly as good when you use it yourself. Anyway, that's pretty much it. These out-of-body battles, it's just a matter of equipping the Gaze of Despair to always distract the enemies. Okay, the other Alfheim of this chapter, you have to be on the Kinship, the very first one, and jump all the way over here. You need crow form to reach this Alfheim. It's a little hard to see in the background too. The Alfheim itself is kind of a joke in normal mode, but in hard and Nonstop Infinite Climax, you fight 2 Jeans instead of 1. They only have 1 bar of health though. What you probably want to do is build up magic to be able to activate Witch Time yourself through the Bracelet of Time, because you don't deal very much damage. You can also wait until they actually try to do a QTE against you, and that'll deal lots of damage against them, but I prefer not to wait. I just activate Witch Time right here to get rid of one right away, and it almost got rid of the other one too. One hit is all I needed. So yeah, build up magic meter by dodging their attacks and parrying them. Activate Witch Time through the Bracelet of Time. That's the solution to that halftime. After you defeat a golem at the end of this chapter, you have to go back as far as you can for the final halftime of chapter 9. It's a little far. Limited kicks and punches, once again. They give you way too much here. 60. That is way too much. Incidentally, I figured out a very quick way of dealing with this halftime right here. By positioning myself just like that, on that Fearless on the left, I managed to use my Wicked Weave to kick the fire one into the corner with it, allowing me to get rid of 2 of the enemies right here very, very quickly. And I got lucky with this Fearless getting stunned right there, allowing me to deal lots of damage against it right away. You really do have more than enough punches for these halftimes at this point. It's only the first one in its type that is a little difficult. Anyway, I have enough magic to activate Witch Time, allow me to deal tons of damage against this Joy, allow me to easily finish the halftime. Yeah, it's a lot harder than it looks. If it takes a bit of a skill to accurately hit that enemy into the corner with the other dog that I did. Anyway, to reach the halftime of the first halftime of chapter 10, you have to position that piece of land like that and go into it over here. Use Wicked Weaves, another one that's kind of boring. This one actually takes quite a while, because it gives you 8 minutes and roughly 10 seconds to start it with. That means you're going to be spending a long time over here. The enemies are fairly easy, but obviously it's going to take a while for you to get to the end. So equip Eternal Testimony as usual. Keep your distance. Dodge their attacks in case you want to build a magic meter to easily actually have a Wicked Weave to be able to use. And don't forget that you can taunt to build up magic meter as well. It's something I forgot actually quite often. On some cases, I'll leave one enemy alive so that I can build up magic meter for a while. Like right here. Because I want spare Wicked Weaves for later. For these enemies. It's not that important, but it is something because if you screw up these halftimes, especially these longer ones like this, it's all the way back to the beginning, and that's very, very annoying. For halftime number 20, I had to play it for like an hour just because I kept messing up. Although that halftime number 20, I believe, is only a simple defeat all the enemies halftime, but it's still annoying because burning ardors. You guys will see. As some of you may have noticed, I like using the punch, kick, Wicked Weave very, very often. Because it's the fastest one you can do without getting too close to the enemy. Because punch, kick sends you a bit too much forward. More so than punch does. Anyway, yeah, as shown right here, I just start build up my meter on this one enemy. So that I have 3 bars. So I can have a lot of free hits on these enemies right here. That being said, I have joys to fight after these 2 enemies. So I take care not to spend it all, or to at least use it on both the enemies at the same time. Now I'm taking my distance here. Parrying his attack. A bit more of his attacks. Then kick. And now 2 joys. Could be worse. Could be 3 of them. Joys don't have too much health, particularly if you use the Wicked Weave in a certain way. But you don't want to chance it. You want to have plenty of spare magic for this part. Made this so much easier. Also, I don't know what's with that sound effect that Bayonetta did right over there. It sounds like she's speaking. Well, she's pretty sure she is speaking Japanese, but I don't think it's her voice actress, Helena Taylor, in English. I think it's Helena Taylor, her name. Pretty good actress. Definitely, she's definitely Bayonetta to me. After number 2 of this chapter, I broke down that wall, but I think you only have to go past a spike segment to activate this one. Use angel arms. That means I like this one. Oh, but I don't use the bow. I use this because it's actually very, very effective against the decorations here. Look at this. Because these enemies don't have much health, so you don't want to use the bow to just take care of one of them at a time. You want a weapon that just gets rid of them all at once with one use. Even though I had to use this weapon 4 times. There's one decoration left right here. I'm making sure to defeat it over here so I can pick up the bow really quickly. Got rid of one of these guys, and I'm using Witch Time right here. Slow down the pace of the battle. Using it again right here, just in time too. And right here, I got lucky. Parrying that attack at the last second. That was a brave. Only took 3 hits to defeat. The bow didn't reappear for some reason. I think it's because there was an enemy spawning over it. So I had to pick up the Brave's weapon right here. It's not a bad weapon. Deals lots and lots of damage. But it's a lot slower. If there are 3 Braves out in the open, that means they'll try to form into a Beloved. So you want to get rid of them fairly quickly. I finish off this one using the Glory's weapon. Okay, new chapter. After verse 2 of The Broken Sky, you have to go back to where you started to start a verse against some burning affinities. And then when you beat them, the Alfheim will appear. It's deadly. When you charge up Pillow Talk, like when it's a huge sword, you can attack burning enemies with it. But you cannot kick them, so be careful. And it only stays big for like 10 seconds at most. So you probably don't want to get used to it. Anyway, the Alfheim here is another out-of-body battle, but the enemies are on fire this time, so I had to change weapons into the Durgas, because if you have both the fire types equipped, you can attack burning enemies. However, I also have the Gaze of Despair on, so I can't stun these affinities very easily. For the most part, I just abuse the punch kick punch combo to deal with every enemy here. This is not a very long Alfheim. If you manage to not get hit at all and hit the enemies fairly reliably. But it is a very annoying one. Just because of the burning enemies. The harmonies aren't on fire though. If you want, you can switch to your weapon when you fight them. As some of you may have noticed, I charge up my attacks because it creates an explosion that deals pretty decent damage against the enemy. It has this bit of splash damage, but unless you're doing the big one that only happens at the end of a combo, it won't reach very far, unfortunately. Okay, verse 5 of this chapter, Broken Sky. You have to go over here, and you need a full magic bar to activate Witch Time with a Burst of Time to go over here. In normal and hard mode, you can just activate Witch Time by dodging the enemy's attacks. You can't do that in Nonstop Infinite Climax, so you need a Burst of Time. And because of that, the person you fight in this Alfheim is Super Jean. Jean number 3 or 4, whichever one you think it is. My strategy is to build a magic meter, but I got lucky. Managed to dodge her Wicked Weave, which means I activate Witch Time. And since I have enough magic here, I can just quickly equip the Burst of Time. I didn't have to equip it originally to finish her off. My normal strategy was to just build up meter by taunting her and dodging her attacks and parrying them. But because I managed to dodge her Wicked Weave without an item that prevents you from doing that, activating Witch Time by dodging, I was able to finish her very, very quickly. Sorry for repeating myself right there, but it's important to note that I did not have an accessory that prevented me from using Witch Time on. Anyway, Tower of Truth. Yeah, Truth. You defeat Temperentia, go all the way back down over here. That's your one halftime of this chapter. This was the most annoying one to me. Because it's burning ardors, 5 of them at once, and then it follows it up with 3 joys. Very, very annoying. It took me an hour to beat these enemies. I didn't feel like switching to the Durgas, so what I did is I used torture attacks and kept my distance and used the rockets to finish off the enemies. And part of the reason is also because I wanted to really have a high score finishing this halftime. I did not want to just get a gold. Because if I really wanted to, I could have cheesed this by just staying high in the air, charging up Pillow Talk, and descending and just spamming the charge attack. But then I wouldn't have gotten a very good score if I did that. I wanted to prove I could at least get a good score fighting these enemies. Just build up some meter for a torture attack right here. Didn't finish off any enemy though. You really want to be careful when you use the rocket kicks like I did right there. If you get too close, you'll actually hit the burning ardor, and you cannot do that with the rocket weapon, the kill gore. Here I'm building a magic meter because I want some for the next phase of this halftime. As some of you may have noticed right here, I dodge at the last second very, very often. It builds up magic faster though when I do it like that. Just finish him off. And I equipped Bracelet of Time because I want to get rid of one of the joys right away. No fooling around. And I start damaging another one, but I kind of messed up really punishing it. The joys are what really annoy me in this halftime. Every time I got to them, they always get a cheap move on me. Especially in many cases where there was only one left and she got a one last hit in. And I just could not get hit at all doing any of these halftimes. And I did not. Pure platinum. Okay, the final halftime. While climbing up the Jubileus statue as John, once you reach your shoulders, go back all the way down to find the final halftime. A tricky place to put it, but it does leave you with a nice view of the earth. Jeanne herself is a little different from Bayonetta. She's overall stronger, but she does not build up magic by dodging attacks. So, well, unless she dodges it perfectly, then she'll build up magic, but not normally. So, this makes this halftime a little difficult, because you need to use Wicked Weaves, and these enemies are always in front of your face. You can build up magic by taunting, of course, but since they're always in your face, that's rarely an effective thing. As some of you may have noticed right there, I'm actually just building up magic right now because I want some for the next phase of this halftime too. Gracious and Glorious have kind of predictable attack patterns. It's just that their moves that come out so quickly that it's hard to sometimes predict them, particularly when you're in a crowded environment. And that was a nice dodge it did right there. Okay, 2 joys and a fearless. This is more annoying than it looks, because all the enemies can attack from a distance, they all have fast attacks and yada yada yada. Especially the laser of the fearless, you do not dodge it the same way Bayonetta dodges it. Or at least it doesn't feel the same way. I have plenty of magic to spare, but I'm not using it very well. I should really be focusing on finishing at least one of the enemies first. Instead, I end up finishing off the enemies, but only towards the very end. Like right here, finally finished off the Fearless and 1 Joy. I really should have actually finished the Joys instead and left the Fearless alone because it's so slow, but That's okay. That being said, this Alfheim is not over, even after you defeat all the Joys and the Fearless. You have to fight the Giant Beloved from Chapter 6. It is the easiest part, though, of this Alfheim. All of its attacks are very easy to deal with, and once you start using Wicked Weaves on it, it's basically perma-stunned. It can't do anything. I mean, look at it right here. Not to mention its health is deceptively low. Anyway, yeah, that's all the Alfheims, all 21 of them. Hope you've all enjoyed this video and hope you'll have a nice day. Next time, I'm going to be doing the bonus fight because I had a taste of the lost chapter, and I messed up at the last wave. Crud.